So I wanted to place this silver nut, but full disclosure, this project didn't go as well as intended, and is yet to have been complete, but it hit a point where it was taking up so much storage space that I needed to release this video. At any rate, here's what we're going to do to get started. I've got this small jaw set that I want to attach to this rotary table. This will allow me to do some offset drills, and unfortunately, this little centering pin was too big for our table and too big for our jaws. Luckily, I had another set of jaws that would allow me to grip this piece and turn it down. Now, at the time, I didn't think to size it to the rotary table, so I actually undersized it. We can fix that later, but for now, it is what it is. Once I turned this down to the point that it would fit, I was able to get it in that rotary table. And then, if you saw the video the other day, we did some centering, and basically using the dial indicator and rotating it, we were able to slowly tap it in to a few thousandths of an inch. Once we got that tightened down and in, we can attach our jaws, and this will allow us to do some cool stuff. So here I started by parting off some stainless steel and drilling it. Now, this was mistake number one, but this one's not that big. I should have used a center drill, and I did not. You can see the drill bit walking all over the place. It did end up working out, though, although it made, I believe this hole was off by about 1 millimeter, so we switched to the center drill for the rest of these. At any rate, using the rotary table, we can rotate this by 60 degrees and create 6 little holes on here, which will then allow us to drill in the actual depth. So what I wanted to do was create a fancy pin that had brass inlaid within it. So once I had drilled out all of these pieces here, we're able to move on to the next step. I had 6 holes that were equidistant apart, and here I was sanding down a brass rod to make sure that I had the clearance. Once I got that in, I parted off the tip, and there you can see the 6 little holes. So the next part will be the center of the nut, so I'm just parting off some 1144 stress-proof steel, and I'm taking off this nut to take some measurements right quick and also figure out what threads I need. Once I got that figured out, I center drilled the steel and bored out the hole, really drilled it out. Boring out would be if I was using the boring bar, but we're just using a drill bit, so that's what it is. Once I finished this operation, I then tapped it to the correct threads. I tend to use taps because they're a little bit easier, because you have to manually change gears on this machine. So this is a thrust bearing, so I need to clear out space for it, and the reason why we're using a thrust bearing is so we can tighten down the new nut without turning the whole tool head. More on that later. Here on the outside, I'm trimming down to create a little sleeve, and here I am doing another cool thing where I'm basically laying more brass, just like we did for that little pin, but I only did 180 degrees on this, but it was a thicker piece of brass. I think this came out pretty cool, but basically here I am parting off some of that, and that's it pressed in. So here I had a couple things go wrong on me as well, but I was able to compensate with them. Basically the rotary table at that point was on a drill press, and the drill press's table flexed. So I wanted a tapered top to this, so basically I'm just working that down, and kind of rough cutting it, and then I'm going to come in and do some final passes. Smooth it out. This gets us pretty much the way there, but you'll be able to see the neat effect I was going for, because we're cutting into both the steel and the brass as we're turning this. and pretty pleased with how it came out. You can kind of see it there for half a second, but we'll come back to it in just a couple of seconds. So I finished cleaning this up. We'll be able to take a gander there. I'm just sanding it with emery cloth to get it cleaned up and put a nice shine on it. And then here I was turning down stainless steel bar that goes in there. You can see the brass little nubbins. And here I am working on the outer sheath. Now the videos, I didn't capture everything that I wanted to with this entire project because I was kind of in a rush because I've been doing this between the holidays and I did not have a lot of time between the holidays, newborn, all that stuff. I've got to pick and choose my time wisely, and that also led to quite a few mistakes in the process as well because I was rushing due to those time constraints. So this is the outer sheath I was working on. This will help be, or this will act as a dust cover, even though the steel itself will do that. And could have done that by itself. I wanted to have a brass, basically, casing on the outside, so it looked super duper neat and cool. So we're just turning that down now out of some brass, and once we get that outside shined up, we'll part this off. But you can see there's this little lip there. For it to be able to fit on there, we've got to get rid of that lip. And it won't fit on the outside of these jaws because they're too big. But luckily we've got these. And in the time that I had started this, my new mill arrived. So I set this up on the mill and basically ran that bit up to the edge. Now you can see I'm using the wrong chuck here. I was hoping I could get away with this, and I did, but it ultimately cost me a little bit in the next future clip. I should have been using a collet chuck, which I eventually did switch to, but if you know anything about these chucks, they're basically tapered on both ends, and when I went to go put the flats on the top here, the chuck actually came off and it ended up boring a nice little chunk out there. I went a little deeper than I wanted to with this design on the wrench flats to help cover up some of that, but so rather than finish this whole project, I'm going to remake this part in the next video, and then we'll be able to finish it in the video after that. Stay tuned.